Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. After dozens of hours of evidence from frustrated health workers and patients' families, today the health bosses fronted the ambulance inquiry. As hearings near an end, rumblings of an early election call grow louder.
Although it feels like the major parties are on the hustings,
we're getting on with government business. We're not going to be distracted by that.
Everyone else is getting on with planning for an impending election, while the government prepares for a Friday meeting with breakaway MPs John Tucker and Lara Alexander. Labor has its own defector to deal with, vowing not to work with now independent David O'Byrne.
Our plan is to win majority government. We're not going to do deals with the Greens or any other party.
But the Greens are anticipating a minority situation as the party unveils its candidates.
The Greens have been incredibly successful in negotiating in a balance of power situations across decades in Tasmania.
A major election issue will be health, a sector which looks bleaker the longer the ambulance ramping inquiry drags on. Today it was health bosses' turn at the table.
I do want to thank everyone that has come forward to the committee, and we do very much appreciate and are listening and following very closely.
Off-duty paramedics watching their chief executive front the inquiry, accused of writing a letter to intimidate a paramedic who gave evidence last year.
I would never seek to intimidate an employee away from making submissions of matters that are in the public interest.
Our chief has the backing of his workforce, but he has to have our backs.
The organisation is working through a business case to hire more staff.
There are certainly cases where we do not have an ambulance available to respond to a P0 or P1 case.
The inquiry heard from Stella Jennings last year. Her mother, Ann Pedler, died on the ramp waiting for after-hours radiology and pathology. She was told instating those services to 24 hours was a priority. Learning today that's apparently not the case.
The coroner was scathing, absolutely scathing. He indicated that it was only a matter of time before somebody else died, in the same manner as my mother, because they need diagnostic testing available on site all the time.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
Well, a 25-year-old Warrane man charged over the death of a 10-month-old boy in December has pleaded not guilty to murder. Daniel John Ridges faced court today via video link, accused of violently shaking Caelan Shane Butler before dropping him in his cot. The infant's mother was in court supported by loved ones, emotional when the plea was entered. Ridges was remanded in custody and will reappear next month. A concept design for a stadium precinct on Hobart's waterfront will be delivered by mid-year, according to the Macquarie Point Development Corporation. The body is assembling a team of experts to deliver on the precinct, including designers and detailed costings for the $715 million project.
It'll be a concept level design, so that will show what it will look like and what it will feel like and some of those key interactions.
From there, this stadium will progress through the Project of State Significance process. The corporation is still working towards construction beginning next year, with completion due in 2028. The Marine Pilots Union will resume industrial action after refusing Tasport's revised offer. The company says it upped the offer from 12 to 14.25% over 3 years. In response, the union withdrew from today's scheduled bargaining agreement and applied to the Fair Work Commission for assistance. Protected industrial action will start again from Wednesday. CEO Anthony Donald says the response is extremely disappointing. With all Tasmanian students heading back to class this week, drivers are being urged to follow road rules around our schools. Speed cameras and police will be out in force, ensuring motorists stick to the 40km/h speed limit.
We want them to get to school safely and, more importantly, get home to their friends, their families and their loved ones. So please slow down, pay attention.
Your child's safety is our number one priority, and we can't emphasise that enough.
Drivers are also required to slow down around buses when orange lights are flashing. A clothing, piercing and tattoo store in Hobart CBD has been targeted by thieves. Police were called to Off Your Tree on Elizabeth Street around 5:30 this morning. The store's window smashed to pieces. Anyone with information can assist with the ongoing investigation by contacting Crime Stoppers or Hobart Police. Tasmanian hospitalised for 2 weeks after a serious ATV crash has reunited with the paramedics who came to his aid. The father of two was riding with friends when a freak accident almost cost him his life.
Face to face with paramedics who were there when every minute mattered. Kieran Harrison wasn't conscious enough to remember their faces 7 months ago. Today, grateful for the second chance.
It's quite a surreal feeling, and I'm glad I've been able to come down here and see them. I mean, I do owe them my life at the end of the day.
We transfer people to maybe the emergency department or an operating theatre, and we don't see them again. So to be able to close the loop, it's awesome.
The reunion, a sweet outcome to a serious ATV crash in Ouse.
I basically was riding down a track about 60 k's an hour, and I unfortunately hit a tree stump on the side of the track. And unfortunately I kept going and the bike stopped.
Suffering broken ribs, a torn kidney, injured spleen and severe internal bleeding. On ground, paramedics sought help from the sky.
The first paramedic at the scene had looked at the patient, identified that the tummy was getting bigger very quickly, indicating a massive bleed, and called the helicopter, and that was actually the life-saving decision.
Kieran transported to the Royal Hobart Hospital in 27 minutes compared to an hour and a half by road.
The service that we provide as a team isn't just a service on scene, but it significantly increases the speed that people are seen at the hospital, and it shortens preparation time for quite complex procedures.
Their commitment to the job saving another Tasmanian family from heartbreak. Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania's House of Assembly Speaker Mark Shelton is swapping Parliament House for the open road as he walks from Launceston to Hobart for the third time. The 5-day, 210-kilometre trek is for a good cause, hoping to raise $10,000 for St Giles.
It could be a communication device, it could be therapy-related toys that are used, perhaps it's equipment to help child start with mobility.
I've got a Down syndrome grandson, Evan, and he's been dealing with St Giles basically all his life. So they do a wonderful job, and I'm glad to do whatever I can to assist them.
Mark hits the road next Monday. 24 hours after World Cancer Day, locals are being called on to roll up their sleeves for those battling the disease. Lifeblood joining forces with the Cancer Council this February to boost blood and plasma supply, with 34% of donations used to treat Tasmanians with cancer.
And that's over 10,000 donations a week. And that's set to rise over the next decade, so we need people to start donating now.
We have around just over 3,500 Tasmanians every year who are being diagnosed with cancer, so that's almost 10 Tasmanians a day.
Those who donate will receive a limited edition Cancer Council bandage. Tasmania Zoo has been selected to be a key part of a program working to save a vanishingly rare big cat. Recently welcoming endangered Sri Lankan leopard Banduka, it's hoped the facility will soon be home to the pitter-patter of little paws.
He's a leopard Tasmania Zoo hopes never changes his spots. Banduka becoming the facility's latest attraction.
Banduka is a Sri Lankan name meaning he who is outstanding, and I think he really lives up to that reputation.
The endangered big cat was a bit shy to begin with, but he's coming into his own.
Showing a bit more of his cheeky side. Trying to hide from me, playing hide and seek, and then trying to jump at the mesh when he sees me.
Going on full public display just last week after quite the journey, taking a road trip down from Brisbane and across Bass Strait.
He actually boarded the Spirit of Tasmania with all the patrons on it as well, so just under the deck was a Sri Lankan leopard.
Banduka's been getting to know his new digs and the staff tasked with keeping him happy and well fed. In the wild, the big cats can chow down up to 8 kilograms of meat in a single sitting.
Here at the zoo, he's a little bit spoilt. He gets fed more frequently, so he only gets a couple of kilos a day.
Not yet 2 years old, he'll eventually grow to around 80 kilograms.
He's going to be a pretty big leopard. They're a very well-known species of leopard for being larger than the others.
But it's not all fun and games. Banduka is part of a crucial scheme bringing the species back from the brink of extinction.
We were handpicked as part of a program by zoos over in Europe to be able to hold him here and potentially be able to breed him in the future. So it's pretty exciting and quite an accomplishment for us here.
Tasmania Zoo is hoping to match its lone leopard up with a lady friend and eventually have cubs, despite the species being notorious for enjoying time alone.
It is a gradual process. It does take time, but we're very, very hopeful that, pick the right female and they'll get on like a house on fire.
Annie Green, 7 Tasmania News.
There's going to be a major shake-up to Tasmania's liquor store landscape. Federal Group, which owns 20 911 bottle shops across the state, will sell the chain to Coles Liquor. Managing Director Greg Farrell thanked staff and stakeholders for the past 15 years it's owned the brand. The transaction is subject to regulatory approvals.
Three days after leaving the court injured, Will Magnay was still feeling it yesterday after taking an elbow to the sternum in Thursday's win over Cairns. Taipan's captain Taj McCall copping an $1,100 fine from the game review panel, which can be reduced to $775 with an early guilty plea. Magnay himself is in hotter water for this earlier collision with Pat Miller, facing a one-match ban or $1,500 fine after the panel classified the contact as intentional and medium impact. Meanwhile, in Ballarat, Tasmania has held off a fourth quarter fight back from South Australia to claim bronze at the Under-20 National Championships. Devonport's Kai Savage leading scoring with 29 points in the 4-point win. The Tigers captain has been doing the heavy lifting at the Gabba today as Tasmania hang on to top spot in the Sheffield Shield standings. Jordan Silk's 84 not out, helping Tasmania chase down a 223-run target with relative ease this afternoon to leave the Bulls with just one win so far this season. It might look like these caddies are providing a bit too much assistance, but this is the Blind Golf Tasmanian Open underway at Kingston Beach. The two-day 36-hole tournament has attracted players from around the country across 4 categories. The winner will be decided tomorrow.
Good evening. Hobart and Burnie 24 today. Launceston warmed up to 28 degrees and Devonport 25. Fingal knows how to get warm and did so today with our top of 29. St Helens reached 27. Friendly Beaches 25. Ouse 23 today. Low Head 22. Grove and the Islands 21 and 18 the high today at Strawn. Just scattered cloud over us after those showers last night. A few isolated showers again today in that cloud over the southwest. A large low near the northwest of New South Wales has created the spiral of cloud there. Isolated thunderstorms in the cloud over the eastern states. Tomorrow, a large high enters the bite. A weak cold front approaches the south of Tasmania, broad low pressure areas over the north and east of the country. West to southwest winds at 10 to 20 knots and to 30 knots over the south as winds tend more west-northwesterly later in the day. We have a strong wind warning in the south that's been posted for waters between Tasman Island and Low Rocky Point. Hobart a high of 21 and partly cloudy. Adventure Bay a top of 20, 17 the top for Tarraleah. 4 overnight, a coolish one. 12 to 23 the range for Launceston, a possible shower. Partly cloudy in Devonport, 23 as well, and 21 the top for Bridport with a shower clearing. 22 and mostly sunny for Burnie, 19 for Strawn. Marrawar partly cloudy and 19 degrees. 19 also for St Helens, a shower clearing, possible shower for Swansea, 20 the top and 21 for Whitemark. On Wednesday, a possible shower over the west with fine mostly sunny weather for the rest of the state. Partly cloudy weather for most of Tasmania on Thursday, and on Friday a little bit warmer and still mostly sunny apart from a shower over the west and far south. A sunny 32 in Perth tomorrow, partly cloudy but fine in Adelaide and Melbourne. 27 and showers in Sydney, 33 the top for Brisbane, and sunny in Darwin, 33 as well. 17 right now and fine in Hobart, 24 in Launceston, sunny in Devonport and currently 20 degrees. The sun's shining, Kim, it's all great. The colourful day we've got ahead of us. I've got the gear on, you've got the gear on. We're back tomorrow night and do it all again, eh?
Why not? Let's do it. And that is all your news for now. We will have updates later tonight though. Thanks for joining us. Good night.